an enslaved African American only known as Ned, a black inventor, lived and died sometime in the 1800s. Ned was an enslaved African American on the plantation of Oscar J. E. Stewart in Pike County, Mississippi, who on August 25, 1857, wrote to Secretary of the Interior Jacob Thompson regarding a cotton scraper Ned had invented. The device required one person and two horses, and could do the work of four people, four horses, two scrapers, and two plows. Stewart argued in his letter to Thompson that ownership of the machine was rightfully his, explaining that, quote, the master is the owner of the fruits of the labor of the slave, both intellectual and manual, unquote. Stewart appealed to the sensibilities of Thompson, also a Southerner, rather than approach Joseph Holt, the Commissioner of Patents, who was a Northerner. Thompson, however, referred the case to Attorney General Jeremiah Black. Stewart then wrote to Holt and included a document signed by Ned declaring that the African was indeed the inventor, and that he belonged to Stewart. Stewart explained, the affidavit of the Negro I regarded as a matter of supererogation, mere surplusage, neither strengthening or diminishing whatever merits there might be in my application, unquote. But Holt ruled that since Ned was not a citizen, he could not file a patent request. This drew an angry response from Stewart. Quote, I was never such an unmitigated fool, which is the implication of the act of the commissioner, as to imagine that a slave could obtain a patent for a useful invention when under the laws. It is a question whether the master who has the property alike in the fruits of the mind and labor, unquote. Stewart assured Holt that if his slave were to try patenting the invention on his own, quote, for such impertinence, according to our Southern usage, I would correct him, unquote. Holt ruled on June 10th, 1858, that, quote, a machine invented by a slave, though it be new and useful, cannot, in the present state of the law, be patented. I may add that if such a patent were issued to the master, it would not protect him in the courts against persons who might infringe it, unquote. The ruling stood until after the Civil War, when it was overturned by the ratification of the 13th and 14th Amendments, which abolished slavery and then established equal protection and due process for blacks. By 1860, Stewart had begun marketing Ned's creation. In a broadside advertisement for the machine was a letter of support to Stewart from A. G. Brown, a planter. Quote, I am glad to know that your implement is the invention of a Negro slave, thus giving the lie to the abolition cry that slavery dwarfs the mind of the Negro. When did a free Negro ever invent anything? Unquote. Angered over what he referred to as the excesses of Reconstruction, Stewart eventually left Mississippi. It is not known what became of Ned. Citations are in the description.